Welcome back and thanks for joining us on the newspaper review this morning on High Impact Television. We are joined virtually with our guest this morning, Barrister Tunji Abdulhamid. Thank you for joining us on the newspaper review.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. So we have some very interesting headlines this morning. We have a report on how federal government loses out as National Assembly affirms states' power to collect VAT. Please help us understand what that interprets, and before we bring more questions to you.
No, I think that aspect of the amendment of the Constitution is just to clarify the current embargo between the state and the National Assembly. You recall that a few months ago, there was an issue between the River State, where the River State government take the federal government to court. No, not even federal government, FRIC, on the issue of who collect VAT. So I think the federal government is thinking that, look, if VAT is now added in the exclusive list, that will give them the opportunity to be the sole person to be able to collect it. That will clear the ambiguity in that the embargo or the dispute regarding that aspect. Unfortunately, for the federal government, unfortunately for the state, the National Assembly are voting in favor of retaining VAT under the concurrent list. You know, we have different types of lists. We have what we call exclusive lists, and we have concurrent lists. Okay. Exclusive lists are those lists where only federal government and items containing that exclusive list are only within the powers of the federal to make law on or to enforce. Okay. The one under the state, under the concurrent list, means that both federal and the state can legislate and even enforce or take action based on that. Okay. So as it is today, the first part is under the both list, that is concurrent list, and the state and the federal can do that. But that particular amendment, the effort of the federal government to ensure that look, VAT becomes an exclusive list item has been thrown out. But I will not say the state. What is the caption again? Because whether federal, whether state, we are all Nigeria.
Yeah,
and there's that to do with Nigerian nation.
I was going to ask.
We will not be talking about.
Yes, I said I was going to ask, why is it in favor of one person and not in favor of the other if it is for the benefit of the whole nation, you know? Because the headline is saying federal government loses out.
I think if the media, they want to, particularly the print media, they want to sell paper. And they will give headlines that people will attract people. And sometimes I see that those headlines as creating a unnecessary, what's it called? Unnecessary, eating the policy. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, whether federal or whether state, we are all Nigeria. Even as much as it's going to be for the benefit of Nigeria, whether it's from the federal, whether it's from the state, nobody should be said to have lose out on any area. It's not personal. Right. It's just a thing of for the nation. Right. So if it's not personal, I don't see how we can be saying they lose out or something like that. No, I don't want to agree with that headline.
Okay, so now that the National Assembly, you know, has transmitted that the VAT should remain on the concurrent list, we recall that sometime last year, Federal High Court had ruled that states had the power to collect the value-added tax. However, the federal government, according to report, are still collecting the VAT and had planned to even collect, they are projected to collect 2.2 trillion naira this year through the Federal Inland Revenue Service. So now that the National Assembly has, you know, affirmed that states, do you see a possibility of it still standing regardless?
I think it will not be correct for us to say the National Assembly and the power of the state to. Well, in terms of amendment now, in terms of what is going on in the Constitution, you can say they support it, not affirm, because the Constitution, the amendment has not even become law as far as this today, because there are still other processes to be followed. Okay. The bill has to go to the state Houses of Assembly, and it must be approved by at least 2/3 of the Houses of Assembly. So until that is done, that's what you can say it has been now. But there is not even before now. As far as I'm concerned, it's only because in Nigeria people interpret law to suit their own interest. There is no conflict as far as I'm concerned regarding this issue before now. Because of personal interest and ego, we interpret law based on what suits us. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a clear confirmation. What I can see here is that the effort to promote, to return exclusivity of it has been thrown out. That's the only thing I can say there. So as far as I'm concerned, the Senate has not, the National Assembly is not a court. The matter is still in court as far as I'm concerned. As of today, the tax issue by Rivers State government against the government, that I believe that is still in court. And the court, as it is today, that amendment will not override what the court will say because it has not become law.
Right. One other thing that can be noted prominently is that the pension for National Assembly presiding officers was also rejected. What is the implication of this?
That's one of the good amendments in that day. I think it's unfair for any ex-governor or ex-president or whatever to be expecting that after 8 years of governance, and especially when some of them did not even perform to expectation, to be expected to be paid a pension, and not even the ordinary pension that the civil servants get, a special pension that will give them even houses, cars, and all those things. We are in the country where we are talking about poverty, and we are talking about lack of development in the country, where the money that can be used to develop the state and the country are being used to service a certain individual. I think it's a good one, and that which means the pension for all the personnel, we are trying to reduce the pension for those who are getting already. Some people are trying to even add more to it. I think it's a good one from the National Assembly by rejecting that position.
Okay, let's now even look at inclusion when it has to do with politics. We have this situation when it has to do with women in politics and people living with disabilities, having them included in our politics. Let's talk about what you think with the recent number of seats that we have for women, even in our House of Assembly and in Senate. What do you think about our representation when it has to do with women and people living with disabilities?
I am one of those. Let me just say this question first. I am not against women.
Okay.
I'm not against their rights. I'm not against them getting a political position or being given elective offices or being voted into power.
Okay.
That as far as I'm concerned, I'm not aware of any provision in our law which restricts women from occupying any position, whether as a politician, whether as a career woman. I'm not aware. So it will be unfair for anybody to say women are not being allowed to occupy position. It is not correct. It is and I know in politics that without support of women, men cannot even win election, because most people that participate in this election more are women. So I don't know why they can't. If they believe in any woman, why can't they rally around that other woman instead of looking for it at the altar of just giving to us? Yes, I agree. In terms of appointment, you can say in appointing an appointment, women should be considered to occupy a certain number of seats or positions. But in elective positions, it is about democracy. It's not about giving. So everybody should, it will amount to disenfranchising certain people or infringing on the rights of certain people from contesting election because somebody is a woman.
Okay.
So it's not. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not against women. I'm not against them. I don't hate them. I like them. I have wife. I have mother. I have children. My children are women. Are ladies. I guess. So I'm just saying that, look, if we have to be sincere with ourselves, I am not within as much as there's no provision in the law which says a woman cannot be this, a woman cannot be that, a woman cannot contest. We have seen countries where women are president. How do you get there? Was it given to them? No. They work for it. So let everybody work and see what they can get in terms of elective position. In terms of appointment, yes, I would support that they be given a particular slot. But in terms of adding more to the seat at the National Assembly, where we are even complaining that the one we have now is even more, or that we're spending more, that we now want to create a special seat for women. How do we create that? How do we determine which women that will occupy that special seat, or those special seats that we're going to create? As far as I'm concerned, it's a democracy, and it's not going to be fair for them to say certain people should be given, just go ahead and they take this position will be reserved for these people, and it's for them. And nobody should. So, as far as I'm concerned, I don't see anything bad in throwing out that those bids.
Right. One other thing on this we should note is that there are calls for the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice to be separated. What do you make of this? And if it is eventually separated, what would be the impact? What difference would be evident in that?
Well, the reason behind people calling for separation of those offices is that is to say maybe to separate the political office from an ordinary civil servant office. But I know that maybe in the future we can get people that will be sincere and that will act based on in line with the interest of the people. So in that regard, I would say maybe I can say yes, I support the bill. But on the other hand, based on what we are having now, I am one of those who don't believe that law is our problem, or combination of that office is our problem. Okay. It is those people who occupy the place. I've seen permanent secretary who's a civil servant who talk as if he's a spokesperson of the government. So whether you are Commissioner of Justice, whether you are Attorney General, and you are not combining the office together, it is if you want to operate in line with the law and with your mind, and you are not being cowed by anybody, that's when the office will be able to operate in that regard. So it is not about the combination that we're having, the problem we're having now today. It's because people are not following what the law says. They are acting not based on the national interest, the individual interest. They are just following. They see those in leadership as the governor, as the president, as Alpha and Omega, and they must bow to whatever they are looking for. And that's why we're having the problem we're having today. So it's not even when is the Commissioner for Justice, Minister for Justice, or Commissioner for Justice, Attorney General or whatever, their appointment will still be influenced by the governors or the president. So, and they will see those who will influence the appointment as the one they must be loyal to. So until we have the loyalty to our country and not individual or party, that's when we can have a difference. Not about when we change the nomenclature or we separate the office and we think that will change. We change the prison to correctional center. What has changed? Nothing. So it is not about the changing of the names and the changing of the offices or whatever. It's about seeing people that will act what is in the law and will act based on the interest of the nation and not in the interest of individuals or their personal interests.
Okay, let's talk about the interest of the nation now, away from what is happening in Nigeria to the diasporan issues. Ukraine, the Ukraine-Russian crisis, the war as it is right now, is affecting Nigerians outside Nigeria. And Max Air begins evacuation of stranded Nigerians today is on the headline. There's even another part on the papers that says Nigeria would be moving Ghanaians and Cameroonians and others as well today. So a lot of people have been giving their reactions as to what Nigerians are facing at the borders at this moment and how long it's taking us to evacuate our people.
It is a good development if truly that is the correct position, because I think twice when the government give me any position in this country these days, because I don't trust the government any longer. So, and I think twice whenever they say anything. Until I see them do that act, that's when I believe that they are doing it. But it's good that it's better late than never. We don't act on time. We don't do things on time. We wait till things becomes a crisis before we now. Other countries have been evacuating evacuated their citizens before now. They were just waking up to that situation. So I bet it's a good one. I think we need to be our brother's keeper. The government should be there for the people. The essence of government is to protect life and property and to ensure the welfare and safety of its citizens. So I think it's a good idea by the government to evacuate Nigerians who are in crisis in that particular region. So I think we should be able to act fast next time. We should not wait till things are outside the control of us before we take action in that regard.
Right.
It's sad that our citizens are suffering outside the country.
We hope that the evacuation that is set to begin today would eventually begin today. Still on this issue now, a quick one before we let you go now. We have a report here. The Russian ambassador to United Nations has claimed that what is going on between Russia and Ukraine is not a war, but it is just a special military operation. What is the difference, in your opinion, between a war and a special military operation?
Unfortunately, I'm not a military person, but I don't as a layman, I don't see this. There's a difference between this and the military operation. What is military operation? What is war? If it's a military operation, you have a target. It's not just a general bombing or whatever. And the way it is now, people are just being killed without any sentiment. So as far as I'm concerned, as a layman, I don't know the difference between what they are talking about, military operations and the war. What I know, what is going on now, as far as I'm concerned, is a war, and it must be taken care of.
Thank you so much for your opinions, Barrister Tunji Abdulhamid. Thank you for joining us on the newspaper review this morning.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
Do have a great day ahead.